Class is now in session. I am Professor Hockey, and today we're discussing some San Jose Sharks news, and that is that they have re-signed defenseman Nikolai Knyzhov to a 2-year deal worth $1.25 million per year, so a total of $2.5 million. And this is a pretty solid contract from the San Jose Sharks perspective. They obviously don't want to go too high in terms of dollar value or too long in terms of term, because there is a lot of question marks still with Knyzhov. He hasn't played the majority of this season due to injury. He didn't play the entirety of last season due to injury, and even after his few game stint here with the San Jose Sharks, he's now kind of been passed over a bit for the current top 6 that the Sharks are running, or at least did run for the previous game. So you don't want to end up in like a Radim Shemek type of situation where you end up giving him 4 years, but by year 1 or year 2, he's already completely fallen off a cliff and you're kind of just locked in that situation. So going for the 2 years, very smart, and $1.25 million, definitely not going to break the bank. And personally, I like the deal because I do like Knyzhov as a player. He had a very, very impressive first rookie season campaign when the Sharks played that shortened 56-game season on a pairing with Erik Karlsson. And while he hasn't really played all that much recently because of those injuries, I feel as though he can still get to that level. It'll be very interesting and very important for Knyzhov to watch what he does going into next season, which actually brings us into a very important point, which was something that I mentioned in my video talking about the signing of Henry Thrun, a defensive prospect, which was that the Sharks now have a lot of competition for these, very few roles in their top 6. I mentioned that as long as there are no trades or anything, which is technically possible, there could be a trade, especially for someone like Erik Karlsson. But if there are not any trades, the Sharks will have a top 4 of Karlsson, Vlasic, Benning, Ferraro. And while maybe a couple of these players, Ferraro, might not necessarily deserve to be in a top 4 defense for the San Jose Sharks, they likely will be. And so you're only going to probably have about 2 spots to fill up, and you of course have both Jacob MacDonald and Radim Shemek, who will both be on contract for next season. You have the rookies in Thrun and Mukhamadullin, who definitely could be a factor with the San Jose Sharks next season. You have Knyzhov now, who is re-signed, so he's definitely an option. You even have a player like Artemi Knyazov, so you have like 6 possible defensemen who could fill into just those 2 bottom pairing spots. And so we'll see exactly where the chips end up falling. Knyzhov was honestly a possibility of not getting re-signed. We saw Mike Grier kind of do a bit of a culling of the organization when he came in, not re-signing Jonathan Dahlen, buying out Rudolph Balcers. And since Knyzhov was a player who was here before Mike Grier, was not brought in by him, and his last season was played before Mike Grier was even in the organization, so it's hard to even get a sense of where he's at currently because he hadn't played the entirety of last season. So it was definitely possible that Mike Grier would just decide, you know what, let's move on from him. But I'm happy that he was brought in for this 2-year deal. It's just going to be interesting to watch the defensive competition that will come from this signing, as well as from the multiple other moves that Grier has made throughout this season to refill the Sharks' defensive cupboard. Class dismissed.